Good morning, fourth graders. Happy Thursday. Hopefully you've enjoyed all of our readings this week. We've learned a lot about history over the last few days. Today, I'm going to go over our assignment and we're going to dive a little deeper into a whole nother section of history. So far, we've learned about the Japanese relocation camps. We've learned about workers in the fields. We built our vocabulary yesterday. So today, we're going to start a brand new topic about the California Gold Rush. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show with you here our assignment for today. So our assignment, if I go in, the first thing I want to make sure I do is I want to make sure I've read this entire article, the entire thing that's titled Natural Resources and Its Workers. That was our assignment over the last few days, so I should have already read this entire article. Once I've done that, I want to make sure I watch all the videos first. So make sure you've seen every video before you open up this page. Now that I've opened up this page and I'm in my document here, I'm going to read the directions. By now, you should have already read pages 12 through 19 in your booklet. Under the article titled Natural Resources and Your Workers, so I just said that, make sure it's read. Before answering this prompt, make sure you reread and watch all videos. Close reading prompt. Reread paragraph 6 of Natural Resources and Workers. What were 3 effects of the Depression in California in 1970s? So last week we worked a little bit on cause and effect. So remember, cause and effect is why something happens. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to reread paragraph 6 first. Once I've read it, I should be able to fill in this chart nice and easy. Cause of the depression, cause of the 1870s depression, the effect is whatever you think the effect is, okay? So I can think of a whole bunch in here. I'm going to read just the first sentence, and I want you to think about what that effect is. In the early 1860s, the United States hired Chinese workers to help build the Transcontinental Railroad. When it was completed in 1869, these workers flocked to California. They joined the already established Chinese farming communities. By the 1870s, a depression forced European American and Chinese workers to compete for work. All right, so what is the effect? There was a depression and they had to type it in. By 1882, anti-Chinese prejudice led to the Chinese Exclusion Act. All right, so then in 1882, type it into your box. All right, last one. Chinese people could not become U.S. citizens. No more Chinese immigrants could enter the United States. Instead, the United States increased the quotas or the numbers of Japanese and Filipino workers who could come to the United States. All right, that sounds like one last effect to me, so type it into that box. Once you have all 3 typed in, you can answer that question in an entire paragraph now. So I want 3 to 5 sentences about what the effects of the 1870 depression is. If I was doing my best job, I could start with a sentence like, in 1870s, there was a depression. This caused something to happen. Okay, I have another assignment in here today. So once you're done with that, you can come back and visit me in this video again, and you can start the next assignment. It says, one reason so many people came to California in the first place was because of the gold rush. In paragraph 5, it tells you a little information about the gold rush. After watching the videos and rereading paragraph 5, write a story about coming to California during the gold rush. So here I just want you to write a fun story about what it would be like to come to California during the gold rush time. So let's dive a little bit deeper into what the California gold rush even is. I'm on paragraph 5 if you want to follow along with me. In the 1800s, European Americans began moving west to California. Gold was discovered in California in 1848. And in 1849, the rush for gold began. In 1850, California became the 31st state in the developing nation. As the population in California grew, so did the need for food. As a result, the agriculture industry continued to grow. Among those who came for gold and then stayed to farm were Chinese immigrants. Okay, so I have a short little video that I'm going to walk us through all about the California gold rush. All right.
California is for the most part a desert that constantly suffers from extended droughts. It is no wonder then that up until recent times it has been sparsely populated by humans for thousands of years. This great state was once only populated by giant redwoods, virgin beaches, and lonely mountains. Then, around 500 years ago, the first Europeans claimed this land for God, the Spaniards.
Okay, so very, very long time ago, 500 years ago, the first people said, nope, California is mine. But before that, there was really only beautiful giant trees, lots of mountains, beaches, and then Native American people who occupied that area. And then they came in and said, nope, it's my land. But remember, they said not very many people were there.
In 1821, after Mexico's independence from Spain, it became part of Mexico. Over the next few years, small groups of people from the new country of the United States ventured westward to California and found it to be mostly empty. This would soon change after the Mexican-American War ended in February of 1848.
Okay, so originally California belonged to Mexico, as did a large portion of the United States. So at this time, really the only people there were not very many people there. I think of in my brain of California as full of people. I think of Los Angeles and San Diego and San Francisco, which are all cities in the state of California. But back then there was nobody there. So then how did all these people get there?
When California, along with the rest of the southwestern states, became part of the United States. Within a week of the end of the Mexican-American War, gold flakes and nuggets were found in the Sierra Nevada mountains. By the summer of 1848, only a few months after the termination of the war, over 4,000 miners, Indians, Mexicans, Americans, were all digging up and down the river banks of the Sierra Nevada.
Okay, so the Sierra Nevadas are these huge, huge mountains in California. They take up a big portion of it, and they're beautiful mountains. And what they found there was gold. So all of these people wanted to come. They were going and digging up this gold because they were going to be rich.
By December of 1848, the President of the U.S., James Polk, declared that the rumors of gold in California were true.
All right, so the President of the United States, this big, important man, he says, wait, the rumors are true. There actually is gold in California. So what do you think people are going to do when they hear that? They're going to run over there because they're very excited. They want to be rich and find that gold also.
Newspapers carried his message across the United States and sparked a massive gold rush to California. However, California was not just around the corner. For those on the East Coast, it was over 3,000 miles away. The journey across the U.S. was not easy, and some opted for a sea route, traveling around the tip of South America or to Panama, where travelers would have to hike across the country in order to reach the Pacific and continue their sea voyage from there. By the spring of 1849, over 29,000 people attempted to take the route to California. The journey following the Oregon Trail took over 6 months to complete. A letter from a man named Old Boone said, "We are all surprised at seeing so few Indians, for we have not seen 20 in all along our whole route. They seem to be terror-stricken at the multitude of whites swarming through their solitary plains, and do not annoy us a particle." As often is the case, the biggest killer on the Oregon Trail was cholera. Of the 29,000 gold seekers who left during the spring of 1849, about 5% were killed by the disease.
Okay, so even though all of these people wanted to come over because they wanted to be the next person to find all this gold, it was 3,000 miles away, which they didn't have planes back then. They couldn't just hop on a plane and come on over. They had to take other routes. So one way they came was by prairie wagons, and they would go across the United States, and it would take at least 6 months. A lot of people got sick doing that. Those are things to think about as you're writing your story. What would that be like to travel all the way across the United States and it'd be such a long and treacherous drive? However, you could also be thinking about, what do you have on your mind? This idea of this great gold you're gonna find.
By the time the gold seekers arrived in California and began to mine for gold, many to their dissatisfaction never made it rich. We know from journals like the one that a man named Alfred Doughton kept that most of the miners found gold, but that, as Doughton states, rich spots are very scarce. Additionally, the mortality
Okay, so we're going to stop our video there, but I just want to talk about this really quick. So all these people, 29,000 people attempted to come over. Not all of them made it because they did get sick, but a lot of them did. And then so many of them got there and realized there wasn't as much gold to find when everybody was there. So some people did find gold and some people did strike it rich, and some people were just left there in California with nothing. So all things to think about today as you start to write your story about what it would be like to be part of the California Gold Rush. You could make the story fun, make it exciting, make it interesting, really pretend that you're there, and just have fun with it. I can't wait to read them. Bye, guys.